How the entire internet turned on Duolingo overnight.
This is an education app. Excuse me?
Why are you so thick though? Damn.
Come with me to get a BBL.
What?
Big butt. Big butt.
I did it.
Don't say congratulations, but you know they...
They perfectly captured Gen Z humor of just like anything can be funny if you do it absurdly and randomly enough, and Duolingo hired someone who understood the assignment and just absolutely ran with it. I remember them going viral in the early days of TikTok, and they felt like marketing geniuses to me because of just how much goodwill they had.
You would have never known Duolingo was an education platform based on their social media, hopping on every pop culture trend with their mascot Duo completely unhinged, skyrocketed their online presence, which translated to enormous increases in monthly active users. And
I feel like people realize with Duolingo is all you have to do is get people talking about the company, and then everything else will fall into place. If people are seeing this crazy owl, they Google what the owl is, and then they learn about the company. And even if they never use the app for anything, they might talk about it and other people will learn about it. It's definitely the all publicity is good publicity mentality.
Revenue. Not only did Duo become a beloved icon, Duolingo was easily demolishing their competition. But it was one decision through an email that would completely destroy their reputation overnight, causing their followers and stocks to tank and Duolingo to wipe all of their social media. How did this all happen? Nearly every single person on planet Earth with any online account has done free labor for the founder of Duolingo, Luis Von, through CAPTCHA. You might have thought this was just to verify that you were human, but what you didn't know is that you were one of millions of people digitizing old books for companies that paid Von thousands of dollars for this service. That's 9,000 IQ, what the heck? But he ended up selling that program to Google in pursuit.
That's actually crazy that you were one word at a time digitizing this. I thought it was just actually a reCAPTCHA program, but actually what they were doing is mass crowdsourcing people to type out what this, but how did they know what it was? Someone had to verify that this was all correct. This seems like a terrible idea.
Of bringing education to poorer countries.
I decided I wanted to do something that would give equal access to education to everyone.
For the next 5 years, he launched the Duolingo app, which would make learning language accessible to anyone as long as they had a smartphone for completely free.
I feel like the term learning language is a bit generous. I don't know anyone that uses Duolingo and then gets more than like a few phrases down. There are people that have posted YouTube videos about 500, 600, 700 day Duolingo streaks. Can I actually speak the language? And like 90% of them can't. All you do is you learn how to complete the assignments and keep your streak up. And like actually learning the language is kind of secondary.
But not only was it free, Von made learning fun. Von would create leaderboards so that you would compete with your friends and make Duolingo more like a game, but a meaningful one that would help you learn a language. On top of that, he implemented streaks so that you could see the amount of days you completed one of your lessons in a row. He got homies hooked on learning though. People were obsessed with keeping their streaks alive.
In the case of Duolingo, we have over 3 million daily active users that have a streak longer than 365.
The streak is such a genius way to get people logging in daily. I know people that would be like at social events and they'd be like, hold up, give me 10 minutes. I gotta log into Duolingo and keep my streak going. It was crazy. I know Snapchat did the same thing. I think they may have been the most successful. And recently TikTok has come out with streaks, and this is entirely unrelated. I hate TikTok streaks because it reminds me of how much time I spend on TikTok. I will actively not go on TikTok for an entire 24-hour period for the sole purpose of killing all my streaks because I don't want to be on TikTok that much.
Also brilliantly understood the psychology of users and placed strategic notifications that would get users back on the app. They would start to use Duo, their logo owl, as a character to hunt you down to get your lessons done in the app.
If you don't use Duolingo for 7 days, we stop sending you notifications. We started sending this notification to people saying, hey, these reminders don't seem to be working. We'll stop sending them for now. You know what people do when they get this notification? They come back.
It was pure genius. As the user base continued to increase, Duolingo transitioned to have a paid subscription, but still had a free version with ads, which not only made for a more sustainable business model, but it could also level the wealth distribution. By 2021, Duolingo was at the top of the education tech space, at a net worth of $5 billion and 40 million monthly active users, but somehow they would take it to a whole nother level. Duolingo decided to double down on making Duo a character, not just in the app, but also as a mascot in real life. Duo would profess his love for Dua Lipa and hop on any and every social trend in pop culture.
Hi, Tim. You wanna go for a ride?
Listen up, chefs! Carmi's gone, so I brought in a new head chef. We play by his rules.
Introducing love language.
I don't understand a word he's saying.
Ojos es muy como el pezón de mi papá.
But most importantly, Duo did whatever it took to get you to do your lessons.
With the BBL.
What? It became this meme.
I feel like the only bad part about how successful Duolingo was then every company ever decided that they had to copy it, and they started doing like really cringy things from people who were obviously sitting in their high white 32nd floor offices at the age of 50 trying to be relatable to the kids. Duolingo did it really well just because they had a team that fundamentally understood humor, and then everyone else copying them just didn't get it, and it came off as like so cringy and artificial.
That Duo would haunt you or threaten you if you didn't do your lessons. They even went as far as to create a fake musical with their anthem.
It's either Spanish or vanish. No es una petición.
Which was just one of tons of fake songs they made that were basically different translations of threats if you didn't do their lessons. We were used to seeing human content creators doing unhinged stunts like this, not an education app mascot. Like, what in tarnation? Duo would leave the most out-of-pocket comments, and they were actually so funny or relatable, so people really gravitated towards it. Duo was living in everyone's head rent-free, and everyone was obsessed, and it was all part of Duolingo's master plan. When you see an owl twerking on TikTok, the first thing that comes in mind is, oh, I haven't done my Duolingo today. This approach is driving a lot of engagement for us.
Those are not two things I would have ever correlated. Like, damn, if I just saw that twerking owl, I would sign in and learn some more Spanish.
It would transition people from doom scrolling apps to Hola, ¿cómo estás? Annyeonghaseyo, no speaking English. This would take Duolingo's TikTok from just 66,000 followers to a whopping 17 million followers in just 4 years. Golly! Duo was dominating the scene as a cultural sensation, which would just bring in more users. They then launched an even more premium subscription, Duo Max, where it used AI so that you could practice conversations. Duolingo was thriving internally and externally.
And I feel like this was actually like a good use for AI, is the ability to have these actual conversations back and forth. I've used ChatGPT for that, speaking back and forth and like asking it what words mean and simplifying things and using like the audio version. I feel like nobody had a problem with this. He's going to talk more about it, I'm sure, but Duolingo and everybody getting mad at them for firing humans to use AI instead. But like, this was such a good use of AI, and then they absolutely blew all the goodwill.
In an attempt to keep going, Duolingo would pull off their biggest stunt yet. In February of 2025, Duolingo announced that Duo had tragically passed away. Millions of people and even corporations were commenting. Remember, bro ain't even real. They even finally got Dua Lipa to actually respond. And the most liked comment with over 60k likes was cause of death? The internet was so invested in Duo's death. I don't know if this was Duolingo's plan or if they just leaned into it, but they made an entire story out of Duo's death, as if they were trying to investigate and even release quote-unquote footage of Duo being killed. Posting rewards for
The fact that it's a Cybertruck is diabolical.
whoever can identify the driver. That's crazy. Shoot, they even literally sold custom coffins in memory of Duo.
We're monetizing grief because we are a corporation.
Are you serious right now? Vaughn himself even put out a statement.
It's Luis von Ahn, co-founder, CEO of Duolingo, otherwise known as Duo's daddy.
That's actually so funny. Fine. Because it was such a meme and culture.
How do you think the interns persuade him to say the term Duo Daddy? Because there's no way he has any idea what this humor is. He's the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar tech company. There's no world in which he knew what he was saying or what it meant. And they were just like, trust me, this is going to be funny. Sit down, read your lines.
Sure that all Duo wanted was for you to complete your lessons. Duolingo started a campaign to revive Duo if people did their lessons. And they came through. And then they simply brought Duo back.
I took over a year off. Tell a friend to tell a friend. She's back.
Their stocks, user base, and social were higher than ever. But that would all change after one email. You would think after Duolingo's outlandish behavior that Duo would low-key get cancelled, but that wasn't actually why Duo went downhill. In April of 2025, Duolingo announced that they would be replacing their contract translating workers with AI.
I remember when this story dropped, it felt like the internet lost their minds, because I was like, there was essentially infinite goodwill for Duolingo, the owl, the brand, the company, just everything having to do with it, and in one fell swoop, they decided to just throw it all away. It was crazy to me.
Laying off several employees. Duolingo is going to be AI first. Betting on mobile made all the difference. We're making a similar call now, and this time the platform shift is AI. One of the best decisions we made recently was replacing a slow manual content creation process with one powered by AI. But Duolingo will remain a company that cares deeply about its employees.
I like how they put this at the very end, like it's an afterthought. He was writing it like, oh, we're going to replace people and we're going to make these systems more efficient and I'm going to make more money as a CEO. And then HR was like, but what about the people? And he was like, okay, we care deeply about our employees.
This move made sense if their AI was just as accurate, if not more, but users started noticing that something was off with AI Duolingo Max. I think Duolingo needs to do an English lesson. Why is Duolingo giving me Spanish words instead of German? That AI translation is really garbaje. People were constantly sharing examples of AI screwing up the app. It would have been one thing if people couldn't notice the AI update, but because there were so many bugs, people were turning not only from Duolingo, but also from Duo that was just resurrected.
And I feel like it wasn't even so much that stuff was wrong. Obviously, if you're a language app, then there's no room for getting errors and having to do with language. But I think a lot of people were upset that this company that they felt like really understood this generation suddenly entirely missed the point on what the generation wanted and decided to replace humans with AI, which is something that Gen Z is by and large pretty starkly against.
Never deleted an app faster before. Thanks. My 2,276 day streak ends here. Abysmal.
And you know, with that 2,276 day streak, that she can speak maybe at a first grade level. I mean, people were not learning the language. They just wanted the streaks and the interaction and to be able to say that they used Duolingo with a huge streak. It was more of a flex than it was a language learning app.
Poo-poo. The hate was flooding in the comments in all of their social medias. This tweet kind of summarizes how people felt. Duolingo laid off a huge percentage of their contract translators, and the remaining ones are simply reviewing AI translations to make sure they're acceptable. This is the world we're creating, removing the humanity from how we learn to connect with humanity.
I think this is what people were mad about. They were removing the humanity from how we learn to connect with humanity because the Duolingo persona had like so much humanity about it. It was someone that understood humans and humor and just how all of that worked together and the TikTok sphere, and then it was being replaced by a ones and zeros machine.
The backlash was getting out of hand, so much so that they removed all of their posts from their Instagram and TikTok accounts. The once hyperactive company went silent. Then they added this weird message in their bios. But of course, just a few days after, they would post this cryptic-ish video hinting at how they were going to respond.
I'm a part of Duolingo's social team, and it's time you all learn the truth. I've had it with the CEOs and those in power.
In which, in 2 days, the CEO Vaughn responded in their typical fashion. But now people weren't really having it.
So are there going to be any more humans left at this company?
Our employees are what make Duolingo so amazing. Our app is so great because our employees made it. Our social media presence is so funny.
And this is where Duolingo starts to look like any other company. And this is just like forced and cringy. And it's obviously just a PR stunt. And you're like, man, you all got it. And then suddenly you no longer get it. And it just feels bad.
Unhinged, not because I did that or because an AI did that. It's because our employees did. So we're going to continue having employees. And not only that, we're actually going to be hiring more employees. AI is a fundamental shift. It's going to change how we all do work, including me. And honestly, I don't really know what's going to happen. But I want us as a company to have our workforce prepared by really knowing how to use AI so that we can be more efficient with it.
I guess you could have your TikTok back for now.
I think Beyond the Mask is a robot controlled by AI. Is the CEO also AI? Real eyes, real eyes, real lies. How about real employees? Biggest downfall. Since then, as of July 23rd, they haven't gone a day without their top comments being about AI or their downfall. Not only that, but for the first time, they've started losing over hundreds of thousands of followers on their social media accounts, with their stocks also taking a significant dip.
I think their stocks actually jumped briefly, but then as the backlash happened and people started leaving the app, their stocks went down. We can actually check this. Yeah, so you can see their stock price here. It was on April 28th that they announced that they were going to do it. So they announced it, and then their stocks take an absolute huge jump as people are really excited about this. But then I assume people, the actual users are upset. The investors were excited, excuse me. And then the actual users, I think, have been upset, and they've been tanking ever since. And if we look at their total stock, I mean, they're still up, 104% or whatever, but from their peak, they're down almost 50%. People are not happy about this.
It's important to note that Duolingo overall is actually still succeeding. While their rep took a massive hit, their revenue is higher than ever, as well as their daily and monthly active users. I actually think Duolingo will bounce back. I think Vaughn just missed the framing of their AI announcement, as this is basically the direction every tech company is going towards. He also seems to be a nice guy that really focuses on having a healthy work environment that cares about their employees. They have some work to do in terms of improving their AI and maybe gamifying it a bit less, but I think as long as their platform improves, users will continue to be on it. But I'm not entirely sure how and if they'll be able to shift their internet perception back in their favor. What do y'all think? Will Duolingo make a comeback from this? Are people overhating? Was it worth making Duo this enormous meme? Let me know in the comments. Peace!
I suspect they'll be able to bounce back eventually. All they have to do is just continue to post and act as if nothing's going wrong. And I do think eventually people will kind of forget about it and drift back to the platform as kind of a new wave of users comes in. But good video, how the entire internet turned on Duolingo overnight by Supreme Value. Thanks for watching.